I got to go to SNL, I think, twice. And so I got to see the process. I actually sat in the room with Lorne and my dad, who was trying to tell Lorne how to write for our characters. And listening to this dance of a conversation.
Oh, I would give anything. I would give anything to be in that room.
I've been in some rooms.
Oh, what's your story? Don't you dare be sour. Clap for Stephanie and feel the power.
Welcome to What's Your Story with Steph McMahon, a WWE and Fanatics original production.
I did buy a pool table instead of the dining room table.
Well, great. Better use, right? And how many times have you used the pool table?
More than a dining room table.
Amen. Then
I
you
still
gotta
open
go
packages on there sometimes, but more than a dining room.
You got to cover
For
the felt,
sure,
though.
for
Cover the
sure.
felt.
Yeah. I keep the little cover over it.
Okay. Yeah.
My plan.
The table's a table. I always go in with hoping I'm going to have the table like clean, and
Yeah.
inevitably it just collects all kinds of stuff.
But the kids makes it.
It's tough.
It's out of your control.
No, it is out of my control.
This is in my control.
True.
And it's still
but it still
a
becomes the
mess.
collection spot,
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
especially because it's like not the focal point, right?
Right. It's
So
like,
it's like
it's
off
in
the
the cut. It's
side,
always in the
yeah.
cut. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's whatever. It's nice though. I think a messy house is a sign of happiness.
Lived in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's like you're supposed
I
to.
agree.
Like I don't like my bed made. I like it
Straightened?
straightened.
Okay.
I like do
Yeah.
that thing.
Just with the comforter.
Yeah.
You know,
So how often
I'll
do you
reindeer
how
it.
often do you change? No, I shouldn't
Yeah.
ask that question. And how good are you with the
I'm pretty good.
Yeah?
I'm pretty good.
You've got it the
I
science
get
down?
one side, and then I'll open up the first side. So
Oh,
that
just to make it look nice and neat. So but how many blankets and sheets are on the bed?
I'm fitted, top sheet, comforter,
And that's it.
2 pillows.
How about in Europe when you go and there's like no sheets? There's fitted. And then it's just the comforter. Have you ever experienced this?
I've never experienced that.
No, I have, yeah.
There's no.
No sheets.
so
Some places.
the same comforter that everyone.
You guys have, right? Well, thank God. Okay.
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
They do the double bed, push the 2 beds together.
Yeah.
But that's
Oh, like the
same-
honeymooners?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh. Was that real? Did people in the 50s really live like that? Or
No.
was it just a TV thing?
Nobody knows.
Your grandparents did it?
Really?
Oh.
Have like twin beds that they push together.
Oh,
And what's the purpose?
No clue.
Or maybe they just
it's
didn't
like
make bigger
before
beds.
marriage, after marriage.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Then you can split them apart.
If
20
I would
years in.
ever get married, I would love my own room.
You know, some people actually do that.
Now that makes me feel like that's a bad idea then, because of the way you said, some people actually do that. And I thought that was, of course people would actually do that.
I mean, to each their own, right? But like
Oh no.
some people, they love to do that. I love sleeping next to my husband.
Yeah, but
I like-
imagine that's cool, but not like every day. I don't know about every day. Maybe, like it's like on the weekends or something. It would give you something to look forward to.
Maybe, but here's the thing. Like, I guess maybe because my husband travels a lot and I travel a lot.
There
so
you go.
There I'm not
go.
always in the same bed.
It's not the honeymoon.
It's not all the time.
Right, I
yeah.
got you.
Yeah.
You're also married to Triple H, so
I
like
am.
you're allowed to say you want
Guys,
to be.
where's my poster? He took my 2K poster down.
It's in your house.
But let's take a moment to appreciate the set.
Oh yeah, new
Yes,
set.
this is a new set. New
Oh,
set.
is it really?
Yeah.
This is nice. I like it.
Yeah, AI, right, Joe?
AI, yeah, I built it with AI.
He literally did. Chat GPT.
I like it. I dig it. No, this is warm. Yeah, this feels
Yeah.
like, this is great.
Debut.
This is nicer than anything in my house. This is very nice. I'm not ashamed to say it either. Well done.
Two trees.
Thank you. Thank you. We got right off that sleeping together thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
It's
like,
good.
damn, I gotta work on my life.
So, one of your biggest influences, Patrice O'Neill, right?
Whoa.
Is he one of?
How do you know that? Yes, absolutely. That's.
Do you know he
100%
worked as a writer at
I
WWE
do
for a
know
brief
that.
period of time?
I've heard him say that.
What has he said? Because
Well, no, I've
Well.
heard him say on a radio show that he used to work at WWE, and I was like, I didn't even realize. You know what it is? Like, you don't even kind of consider that that's a job. Like, even when I
Right.
started working at Saturday Night Live, like as a writer first, I didn't even know that was like a thing. Of course, it's a thing, but you wouldn't even think like, oh yeah, this is like a prepared
yeah.
thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is something that's.
well, I guess if we're doing our jobs right, you wouldn't think that.
I totally agree.
It should feel like off
It
the
should
cuff,
feel
seat
natural.
of your pants. Yeah.
100%. But what was he like in those rooms? He must have been
So-
insane.
It's funny because I think I hired him.
Really?
Yes, but I didn't know. Like, I knew he was a comedian, and that's what I was trying to do, is bring some humor into the show, and but I didn't realize how big of a comedian he was.
Yeah.
So, when you come to WWE, you got to work like a lot,
I bet.
and it is really grueling. And you're traveling to all the shows. I don't think at that time we had the home team, away team thing. I think everybody was one team. So you were just constantly grinding. And I don't think it was the lifestyle he wanted.
Well, I can't imagine you could do both of those things, like stand-up comedy and that is
Well,
like,
yeah, and it was to not to be a stand-up comic, but to
Right.
interject, comedy into the scripts and things like that to help with humor.
well, I just mean the grind of both of those things is probably
he was. Yeah, I don't think
insanity.
he was trying to be a comic at that time. Because I don't think you
Oh.
can do both.
Yeah, it's got to be nearly impossible. And even coming in with you guys, even for that short time, seeing the way it was produced, it reminded me a lot of SNL, but far more dangerous. But in the same kind of like rigorous, like
Yeah, because it's live.
It's live. You get one shot at it.
Yep.
And it's
it's
all about
physical.
timing,
yeah.
and it's physical. Like
Yeah.
we're wimps, but like these are like physical specimens trying to time this perfectly so you don't hurt the other person.
That's right.
And also you might be hurt, and you're trying to do something that is hard to do healthy.
Yeah.
I was extremely impressed by that. Yeah, it was like really, really cool.
It was so cool that you guys did that.
No, you kidding me? That was my most New York year ever. Like, I'm born and raised in New York City, and that year I did WrestleMania, and I did Eddie Murphy Saturday Night Live, and I did Sesame Street. I was like, oh, I'm set. I don't have
Forever.
to do anything else in New York City again.
And
I'm
you love
cemented.
being from New York, right?
I love New York.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the only place. You spent a lot of time in New York. You must have.
I
Right?
have, yeah. I've spent a lot of time in New York, mainly at the Garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my first wrestling show was the Garden. Had to be. And I remember it was a King Harley race. was there.
At the time.
Yeah. And I remember, because like the mic would come down in those days. You guys should bring the mic down for
You
the
know,
Garden
we
shows.
did. There was a character we had, Ken Kennedy.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we did
Oh,
it
he's
for
the
him for a little while. But I don't know what happened.
I remember that. Yeah, that's crazy.
But going back to Patrice for one sec before I forget. So I had to let Patrice go because he wasn't actually. No, but this is the funny part. And I've heard him
This is
tell
awesome.
the story of how funny it was because he like I let him go, but he didn't go anywhere. So he was, and then he
Costanza?
was still like around, and he was on the plane, and I was like, Patrice, what are you doing on the plane? Like,
go.
did you think I was kidding? Like, it was this, and I heard him tell that story down
Oh,
the
that's
road after.
awesome.
Yeah,
What did he
it was
say?
really funny. I mean, he just didn't say anything. It was just like a funny moment. I don't know if
that's
he
good.
was
Did he get off the next
messing
stop
with
or
me
something?
or no. I mean, he
It's like I'll go home once we get back.
yeah, like it was just the funniest, the damnedest thing, really.
Oh, man.
I guess, maybe if he stayed, he could have just stayed. But it wasn't the right thing for him either. But
That's that guy, man.
it was too funny.
He's the best.
Yeah.
He was the best, and you could see his sort of fingerprints on so many comics now.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
What did you love most about him?
Honesty, brutal honesty. No matter how it made him look, he was willing to fight through it. So, like as a comedian, you know, I always feel like it's a negotiation between what I find funny and what the audience is willing to hear or accept as funny.
Right.
And usually, what I think is funny and the audience, if they don't think it's funny, I'm like, okay, well, we won't do that. How about this one? How about this one? It's usually, that's sort of the approach in joke writing. He sort of just stuck with whatever he wanted to do and tightened it and just made it, he kind of
Honed it.
he kind of grinded them into submission, you
Really?
know, like literally. Like
Yeah.
you would see audiences that started out hating him, ended up loving him by the end of the set because, you know, you can call him anything, but you can't call him a liar. It was honest. And not honest in that it was exactly right, but it was honest in that I know you truly feel that way. And I can see why you feel that way. And it's something that's disarming, you know. It's a weird trick to getting, as you guys know, to make an
Yeah.
audience react the same exact way. A room full of strangers react the same exact way in time is strange and very, very unlikely.
You described it in a different interview as showing a baby a magic trick for the first time.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It is. It's
And when you
or
said it, I
sometimes
was
it's like
like,
giving them a
oh.
lemon for the first time. But it is that. It's literally like, you know, seeing something that you didn't even know was possible. You can't even fathom how it could be possible. And with words, it's really tough.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really tough. The most vulnerable thing you can do is
Well, and
try
because
to be
it's you.
funny.
Yeah, right.
exactly.
You're
Like,
not playing
You're
a
not a character.
character.
you're not
Yeah.
playing a character. This is sort of what you think.
And what you believe, and you're putting yourself
Yeah.
out there.
And also, people kind of need permission to laugh at certain things. you
Yeah.
know? Like
Well,
people,
especially now.
people
Yeah.
don't want to be caught laughing at the thing that nobody else finds funny.
Yeah.
So to make them laugh, to make them kind of peel that guard back and be able to accept it is sort of it's a wild trick.
What is?
And he was
the
a
trick?
master at it. Yeah.
What is it? How do you do it?
You got to trust it. They got to trust you. I don't know how much we could say on this.
You say whatever you want.
To me, it's like it's a lot like sex in the sense that
This is going to be good.
you have to be able to listen as well as speak. So I think a lot of comedy is using sort of your ears and making sure your partner's okay. That's as clean as I could make it.
Wow.
I mean,
That was pretty good, actually.
That was-
Actually, it was.
I'm impressed.
wow.
My mother's gonna hear this interview and she's gonna be like, "Wow, thank you for not embarrassing the family,"
Yeah, no. That was a very.
Which is a big family.
which is a big family. I'm the youngest of 7.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't have cable.
But so okay, we'll come back to the sex conversation. But how did you, which by the way, if you're paying attention, obviously you know that's a great thing because not everybody does, right?
Yeah.
Some people it's all one way.
That's right. It's true.
Yeah, but you care. Then you listen.
And you're a listener. You're a good listener.
guys.
You're a good listener. You know when things are working and when they aren't.
Not all men are good listeners.
That's right.
It's
Is it
warm.
hot in here?
It's
It is
warm.
hot in here.
We're in a sweater.
No,
This started out about Patrice.
yeah. Well, and honesty. So
Honesty.
Yeah,
It's the
there was
most
that,
important part.
and connection, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of what you're getting at.
100%. I think that's sort of what makes it tricky. I wonder like how I'm always curious because I never really like talked to performers about this, just that aspect of it. Like for me as a stand-up, you know, there's times where I can pivot or there's times where I could sort of, you know, go to the crowd and like kind of make them comfortable. If they're comfortable, they'll be able to accept more things. That's sort of the point of it. And I wonder like when you're out there, if a match is going, because it's such a rigid time frame.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like on SNL, we got 4 minutes in a sketch. We got 4 minutes on a sketch. It's like
Right.
two
Yeah.
the time.
It's everything is.
And in a match, if something's not going right, when do you know that you can stretch? When do you know that you could kind of pivot? When do you know that, okay, the audience is dying, we got to kind of raise
It's
the
part of
volume?
the art.
Yeah, it's part of
Yeah.
it, right? Like I imagine
but
that's
you
sort
have
of.
to be listening. You really do. And it's a feel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's, you know, sexual innuendo aside, it's all about the feel.
Yeah.
It's you get it's a vibe, it's an energy, it's a connection. It really is when you're out there. And you know, from a wrestling standpoint, I can't speak to it as well because my matches were always very planned. Although there were times when things didn't go quite right. But that's neither here nor there. But on the mic, when I was talking, you know, the crowd, you can notice when they're not with it and when they are.
100%. And
Yeah.
also, you guys, like, okay, so for us, it's listening and laughing are the two things you want always.
Yes.
You guys have to prepare for booing,
You
heckling,
know, I wanted the
throw,
booze.
like
Yeah.
and you want that
But
kind
and you
of
got to
stuff.
react.
And you got to
But
react
that's
to
part
it.
of the fun, though.
It's
I think that's
gotta
the
be the
magic.
best feeling
Is
in
like
the world.
the crowd interaction when they
Yeah.
start chanting,
Yeah.
and it's not a chant you expect.
Yeah.
Like I remember I was doing some skit with Jericho, and
he was brutal.
oh, to me, I know.
He was
But this is on the
brutal.
other side of that. Now I was in control in this
Okay.
particular segment, and I was making him do something, and the crowd started chanting, "On your knees, on your knees," and I was not me for him,
Him.
and I was like, not.
I was about
Not,
to say that's
not
the
a
worst thing
sexual
I ever heard
reference
of.
at all. No, but so then I was able to bring it anyway. Now it's something else.
No.
No, so at any rate, and then I got him
On your knees. And shook
On your
out your-
knees is crazy.
There have been some crazy chants.
No, yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah. What do you do like from a production standpoint when the crowd is yelling stuff that's almost too crazy for even because it is like
Bleep it out.
Yeah, sometimes the networks will bleep it, or it goes quiet, which sometimes ruins it
yeah,
because then there's no noise,
yeah,
you know, and it's like the noise is important, you know,
it's cool
because
cool as
that's
hell.
the energy is how everybody's reacting.
Like SNL. I always say WWE SNL. You have to see it live to really understand what it is because
Agree.
it's like you can't believe it's happening the way it's happening.
Yeah.
It looks so much crazier live.
And you guys do a full rehearsal,
We
right?
do
Right before you go
we
live.
do a rehearsal, then a dress rehearsal, and then yeah.
But the audience watches the dress rehearsal, one of
Audience,
them, right?
Yeah, we do a audience rehearsal too. Yeah, dress rehearsal.
And how often do things change?
Always, because the dress rehearsal, if the show is actually 90 minutes, the dress rehearsal is probably like 2 hours and 10 minutes, 2 hours or so, depending. So half an hour is getting cut no matter
Regardless.
what. So if you go to dress rehearsal, you're going to see a half hour that's not going to be on TV. And everything kind of gets changed. But what's tricky about it is it's two different audiences, obviously,
Right?
which means you're editing the show based on the last audience's taste, but you might get a completely different kind of an audience. And now you've ruined the sketch for people that's not going to be there. It's a very strange thing. It almost,
That's interesting.
yeah, because
I
there's-
always thought it was the same audience.
no. You sometimes the dress audience is on fire. They're hot, and you think you've just written the best thing, and then that air audience is not on fire, and it's playing to silence, and
That's
you're
the
like,
worst.
"What happened?"
That's the worst.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like touring. You get to one city, it might be
every crowd
crazy in
is different.
Chicago and
Every crowd's
different in
different.
Indiana or wherever it is. So you never really know. And we get it twice in a night, so it gets really tricky.
You don't get heckled?
We don't get
I mean, maybe not
heckled.
at SNL, but you were just saying about stand-up
Oh,
and the difference.
stand
with
up
WWE.
for sure.
Right? I really think
For
you get heckled.
Sure.
You get heckled.
Yeah, but it's like there's heckles that are we don't like this, and then there's heckles that I just want to be a part of this,
Right.
and so you can't. I don't like to discourage hecklers.
Sure.
I try to I have a little spiel.
Have fun
for
with them.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
fun with them. I play
Because that's
with
what
them.
it's all about is just having fun. right?
Yeah, and fun is
Taking 'em on a ride.
contagious too. Like if they know that I'm having fun and that everybody's having fun, they kind of want to be on board with it too.
No different.
Yeah.
It's the same with us.
Mm.
If we're having fun, the audience is having fun. And again, it's not anything you can articulate,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's just a feel.
But it's got to be so much more. Like for me, I can do whatever I want. But when you're a character or you're getting to an agenda for another performer to be able to score, it's got to be a lot tougher because you're like, there's only but so much Stephanie McMahon would say in this situation. Even if you think of something that's great, you're like, but that's not, I'm supposed to be mad right now, or I'm supposed to be, you know what I mean?
That's
Like
true.
it's got to be a
That's
little
true.
bit tougher.
Yeah, you don't want to break character.
You don't want to break,
Yeah.
and you don't want to,
Yeah.
because it hurts to everybody else who has to do the thing
Right.
to get the win. I'm fascinated by all this. I'm sorry, my nerd questions.
No, I love it. I love
It's
it.
cool as hell.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I'm biased, right? But I think it's the greatest
It's
form of
cool.
entertainment in the world.
And sometimes you don't even remember like how cool it is if you do it enough until you see someone experience it, and you're like, oh yeah, I guess this is a dope thing. Like when I have guests for SNL and give them the tour, and they're like, whoa, these are the cue cards? Like, you never seen a cue card before? But like to them, it's like, whoa,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
crazy. It's like real.
Someone's job is to write this card.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
It's trippy.
It is.
It's trippy.
But I got to go to SNL, I think, twice. And so I got to see the process. I actually sat in the room with Lorne and my dad, who was trying to tell Lorne how to write for our characters. And listening to this dance of a conversation.
Oh, I would
wish there
give
was
anything. I would give anything
Wow.
to be in that room.
I've been in some rooms.
That is nuts. Oh man, I would love to hear that.
It was so cool.
I would love
I
to
have
hear
to tell
that.
you, it was really.
Was that when Rock hosted the
Yep.
first time?
Yeah,
And then,
there
like,
was
Big
Rock
Show
and Big Show and Triple H.
He came up like the monologue, right?
Yeah. And my dad did the monologue.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know this.
Yeah. It was that part I thought was the coolest for
I
me
think
at that
that's
time.
extremely cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
Welcome to New
man.
York. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Saturday
that.
night.
That feels like a New York thing.
Yeah.
Like it's, Saturday Night Main Event would come on.
That's right.
Yeah.
So when Saturday Night Live wasn't on, Saturday night's main event would take its place.
That was my.
See, we're like, you know.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very East Coast thing. I think it's
Yeah.
like Northeast thing where like that's how we grew up. Saturday Night Live, WW, and the Apollo.
It's
Showtime at the
showtime.
Apollo. Yeah, Sam and Sims.
At the Apollo.
Oh yeah.
It's very, very New York. I would have killed to have seen that.
Yeah. The #1 sports fan festival, Fanatics Fest, returns to the Javits Center in New York City from July 16th to the 19th, 2026. Fanatics has just announced the return of Fanatics Games, bringing back its high-stakes cross-sport competition where everyday fans go head-to-head with some of the biggest names in sports.
The 2026 Fanatics Games introduces an expanded format with a $2 million total prize pool and new nationwide qualifying opportunities for fans to compete alongside elite athletes. The inaugural winner, Tom Brady, as well as reigning fan champion Matt Denish, will be back.
WWE superstars Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Cody Rhodes, and Jey Uso will also be joining the competition for a shot at the title. Head to fanaticsfest.com to apply to compete or grab your tickets to Fanatics Fest. You don't want to miss out. So what's the best lesson you've learned from Lorne? It could be about anything. Or maybe not the best, one of the best.
One of the best lessons, earlier lessons, like one of the first lessons he always told me was to be comfortable at home. He was like, you're going to work really, really hard in this business, and you're going to do it for the rest of your life. Make sure when you're home, you feel comfortable. Like, even if it's a little bit more expensive than you'd like it to be, or a little bit, just make sure it's convenient, it's comfortable, you like it, because when you're home, you want to be happy and you want to be able to rest and you want to be able to get back to work. You don't want to be stressed out at home and then stressed out at work. And that's helped me a lot in my career because I would be on the road or I would be in these hotels or I would be, working all the way through the morning and coming home. And I only got 2 or 3 hours, but I would come home 2 or 3 hours in a nice apartment that's maybe even I couldn't afford, but I just was comfortable and I was happy to do it and I was happy to be home. And it's terrible financial advice, but it's amazing. It's amazing emotional advice. Like I always loved that. And I remember he told me one time, he was
I've
like,
never heard that before.
I've never heard it either.
Yeah.
He's the only one that said it. And he also told me don't trust a nighttime yes.
Oh.
That was that's my favorite thing. I always say nighttime yes.
So what do you mean? Like if you're pitching something and somebody says yes and it's at night, that doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Doesn't mean it's gonna happen.
Is this just in comedy? Is this...
I think it's everywhere.
Yeah, no, because like when I pitched you to be on the show and you said yes, and then I didn't
But I
hear from
really
you.
wanted to do it. I really wanted to do it. Absolutely, I
I'm just
really
teasing
wanted
you.
to
I'm
do
so
it.
grateful you're here. I really am.
No, this is honestly, no, this was not a nighttime yes. This was more of a when can I do it? You know what I mean? Like literally, like when could I do it? Because we just got back from Indiana last night. This is our weeks off. So like we were just trying to find a time when I could definitely do it because I'm like working on a special. So every time I'm not at SNL, I'm on the road or I'm doing shows. So it was just tricky I don't know when we could do it.
And when you say you're on the road, are you like practicing? You're doing stand up. Are you practicing bits that you then want to put into your special?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're, like,
because that's
putting it.
important, right?
That's repetition
It's everything.
is sort of repetition's the key. You kind of got to say it like you're thinking of it in a way. You got to know the off ramps and it's so boring.
But how do you keep it a secret, right? Like your bits, because
It's tricky.
I imagine people are with their cell phones or
Yeah.
whatever.
That's actually slowed down a lot. Knock on wood. If you're watching this and you're a fan, please don't take this as a personal challenge. But I used to lock up phones like up until about this year. And I kind of stopped because I feel like the gotcha moment has sort of ended. I think fans are kind of better at it, but it used to be they would tape your whole set and
Right, and then put it
on.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't happen as much anymore, thankfully. But there was a time when I was like, I'm not performing unless the phones were locked up
Wow.
because they'll put it wherever
And there's
they want.
still somebody.
Somebody will
who
still
sneaks
do
the
it,
phone.
and a lot
Yeah.
of times it's not. They don't want to get the gotcha moment. They sort of want to just take a picture. Like
Well,
they
yeah, but I
literally-
think sometimes too they want to. Well, I don't want to speak for anybody, but it makes them important that they have your, part of what you're going to be doing. So they put it
Yeah,
out, not to try to hurt you, but to try to help them.
Yeah,
sort of, and they don't
absolutely.
realize the effect it has.
Absolutely. I think it's, everybody kind of, that last episode of Seinfeld is sort of prophetic, where they kind of go to jail for taking a video of a guy getting assaulted. And it's literally all the culture is. And it was like it was a camcorder, which is crazy. But,
Right?
But now that's kind of sort of people's first instinct is you see something, you take
Record
a
it.
picture, you
Yeah.
record it, you take a picture of your food if it looks nice, take a picture of everything. So it's just a natural reaction to be like, I'm somewhere fun or cool. Here's what it looks like. And
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird way to live, but I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Get it.
I mean, and you don't have to.
You must
get
not
it,
be able
right?
to go anywhere though.
No, I'm fine.
Really?
Yeah,
I find that so hard to believe.
I'm really. My husband can't go anywhere,
Okay.
but I'm.
No
Skate.
kidding. That
Yeah.
shocks me. I remember I was
I
talking
mean,
to
every now and then.
Tina Fey one time, and I was asking her like how does she get around in the city? Where we were doing something. I was like, how are you getting around? She was like, I get on a train. And I'm like, how are you on a train? Like you must be
Right? Mobbed.
in New York City. You see Tina Fey. That's got to be
Right.
insanity. She was like, no, yeah, I'm fine. People leave me alone. And I was like, it trips me out that there's people that could kind of walk around
Yeah,
that famous.
I think. Well, and I'm not Tina Fey famous, but
I don't know that that's
think,
true.
No, I'm definitely not. But what I get a
Two very
lot,
different types of people.
but what I get a lot is like, you look familiar. You know, it's like, where do I know you from?
Well, we usually catch like you're walking and someone's like, "Oh, that's Stephanie McMahon." Yeah, it is, and we're like, "Just keep moving." Like you
Yeah,
don't.
but
There's always someone that notices you.
Not always. Maybe, but because you're with me when we're doing business stuff. So, but like at the mall,
I think you
or
just
whatever.
don't know what it looks like when people
Orlando.
notice you because you've been noticed
Right?
for the last 30 years.
Mm.
I'm
I
sorry
don't know,
to put
but I
it.
can just skate though. 30 years. Yeah, I know we were talking before.
No,
I used to watch you when I was a kid. I'm 70 years old. I'm like, that's not possible.
No, but I'm just saying, like, you probably don't even track it when people are literally just gawking at you because they're like,
No, but
"Holy-"
I swear I am out and about all the time. And,
okay.
you know, baseball, but I'm not even trying to not look like anything. But, like, you know, also I think my character's always very done. Makeup, hair, you know, the whole thing. So when I'm just being me in my sweats and stuff,
You really believe that?
I really do. Yeah,
She does.
I do.
I'm looking at you I'm like, you really believe this? Okay.
But I'm looking at the team because we were just in dinner when we were shooting in Orlando.
Okay, but that was
And as soo-
Orlando. Which
As soon as we're leaving the restaurant, spotted.
Yeah.
People know you. It's okay.
I think
You're a
this
big deal.
pod has
This
got
is
some new
crazy.
fans from the pod. But you started off as an artist and you
Well,
went to fame,
That's
right? But so
That's true.
were you like what type of artist were you?
I went to LaGuardia High School, Fame.
Which is the coolest because I watched
cool.
Fame all the time.
Fame.
I loved Fame.
Sing it.
The
I wanted
show
to
or
go
the
to
movie?
Fame.
Which was
Sing it.
No,
your
the
thing?
show.
Yeah, the show.
Yeah.
I remember
With
the
Debbie
show.
Allen.
Debbie Allen.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah.
Love her. And then I saw her in Grey's Anatomy and I'm like, Debbie Allen.
Debbie Allen.
Yeah.
I seen her at a hotel one time. We were doing like something in DC. Oh, I think Lauren was getting like the Medal of Freedom, something crazy like that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Damn.
he was got not the Medal of Freedom. Is it the Medal of Freedom?
Yeah.
Is it? It was one of them things.
Really?
Yeah, it was like at like the Kennedy Center or something, and I seen she was getting one too, and I seen her in the lobby, and I was like, "You're Debbie Allen," you know,
She's-
and she was just like, "Yeah, hi, how are you?" And I'm like,
Amazing.
same thing that
With
you're
that
trying
stick.
to do. Same whole I'm not really Debbie Allen kind of thing. No,
No.
it was really cool though, and that school is famous for a ton of people that went there. Chalamet, who's probably as famous as I am, and
Not quite.
well, a lot of cool people, a lot of way cooler people than me have been there though. But it was cool. But I went for painting. I used to like to paint, and I wasn't very good at it. I'm not.
But you had to
going-
audition to get into the school.
Yeah, but it's easier to get in for art than it is for like piano.
Because why?
Well, because how many pianos are you gonna put in that school?
I only have 3.
But
Everybody
do you
could get a
think
drawing
art
pad.
is like more subjective or
Art is probably more subjective, but I just think like for an art program, there's a lot more
Paint and
space.
pianos.
Yeah, like there's
Paintbrushes are cheap.
piano is such a specific thing. They might be able to pass like 20 kids
okay?
that can
but
play
you still
piano.
had to like you had to have been pretty good.
No, I think I don't know.
Do you have any of your art anywhere?
No.
But this was like
That's a sign that it's not that
but
good.
up
if no
until
one
you
has
were
it.
like 25 and Tommy Hilfiger hired you.
That's true, but
So you had to have been somewhat talented.
I mean, I think I'm embarrassed by it because I don't think I was very good. I think once I learned how to do comedy, I realized, oh, okay, this is what I was supposed to be doing. You know,
Right.
I think that there's certain things there's like a lot, like you could be excellent at one thing, but if you don't get to that one thing, you could be sort of good at other things. Like if you were a great baseball player, you might be an amazing football player, but you play baseball, so you can kind of do it because of the skills that you have. Yeah, just pure athleticism, you know. Like I'm sure you guys get people that are wrestlers that are probably was better at another sport, but since they could do that well, they transitioned pretty well in doing this, or vice versa.
So what are the synergies then?
I think there was like a level of expression and composition that I sort of had naturally that taught me I know how to write jokes in that way, but to paint was a little trickier for me, but it made me good enough that I was passable.
So composition in terms of the structure of a joke?
Composition, the balance of a joke, where it should be. I could sort of see jokes in like art kind of way. Like I
So
could
that's
see.
fascinating.
Yeah.
It's fast. It's hard to say. Like I heard like Kanye one time. He was saying how he can hear colors in a way, and it doesn't sound like it makes sense. But I was like, I know exactly what he means.
No, there's someone. Oh God, I can picture his face. He was just on Joe Rogan talking about frequency of colors. I'm not going to think of his name. You guys could find it.
But there's people that I've heard say things like that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not just a few, but I think like there was things that I could do in like learning about art and composition, and balance and lighting and texture that I use for comedy, and it's like fluent. It feels like that's like my second language. Like art painting feels like a second language, sort of. Like I can understand it a little bit better than I can speak it.
Right.
Or like I kind of know what it is, sorta. I can sort of do it, but I think in comedy in a way that when I tried it for the first time, I was terrible at it, but I was like, oh, this is what I should be doing. Like
Yeah, you
just
felt it
It
immediately.
just felt natural. It felt like this is like how I dream. This is how I think. It's a weird thing.
It's pretty cool.
Fascinating. Yeah.
And who?
It's Terrence Howard.
Yes. Unlikely. I think.
Yeah. This isn't a great list, but
But you should
Yeah, I
hear
guess
him.
I'm like
He
Kanye and
really,
Terrence
really
Howard.
believes in this.
it's a very short list.
So who were some of your influences?
Oh no, what is wrong with me? Can you look up if Terrence Howard sleeps in twin beds?
Does he do the thing?
Yeah, does he not like made up beds or anything?
Does that have a name?
Reindeer.
Yeah, I don't know what it's
Did you
called.
say reindeer?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, reindeer.
Yeah, the reins.
Santa.
Reindeer.
Reindeer.
Reindeer the bed. But so were there any so you grew up and it wasn't easy
No.
growing up the way you did.
Well, no, it wasn't easy. But I mean, as a kid, you don't know it's not easy.
Right?
You don't know it's like your life wasn't easy until you start
Thinking back.
comparing notes with people that didn't grow up like you, and you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Wait, what?
Yeah, what? Huh? So you've never had water and cereal? That's crazy.
No? Milk.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. We was broke.
But did you find an outlet in art
No.
or a teacher?
Yeah.
really-
I found an outlet in art as I started learning more about it and getting better at it. It was a great way to. I didn't know it at the time, but it taught me how to think. So like, it kept me busy because I would paint the way I write, which is I would just hole up in a room for like a day or two and just paint and just like play music and paint, and I would be thinking, and I didn't realize it, but I was actually thinking and writing. And so my arm would be going and I'm thinking and I'm trying to execute this picture or whatever and getting it right, but I was really just alone thinking my thoughts through and repeating them. So when I got to comedy, I sort of knew how to focus on bits. I kind of knew how to write. I knew how to lock in because I had already been doing it. It was strange. It was like I was working a muscle. I already had the muscles developed by the time I learned how to do the thing. I did it backwards in a way.
My new legacy title is an original, fully custom designed from the ground up to commemorate my career inside and out of the WWE ring. The belt features 907 crystals, golden metallic prints, a black velvet strap, and the center and side plates contain artwork in reference to the McMahon family crest. You can get My Legacy belt now at WWE Shop and Fanatics. So, have you been watching WWE recently?
Definitely.
You know who Obafemi is?
Oh, I should have did the walk when I came in. Damn it. Missed opportunity to do the walk.
Yeah, I know. But he is an artist.
No kidding.
I know.
Yeah.
I was thinking of that as he was describing.
As was Triple H.
No kidding.
So a couple of other, references, and it's actually one of the things I was talking to Paul about this morning, because, of course, he says hi, by the way.
Hello.
And I was saying, I wonder what that is. Like, what's that connection with art and performance art? And you're illustrating it a little bit right now.
I mean, that's what it is for me, I don't know. They may have a different answer, but
Sure.
I think that's, it teaches you sort of how to think. It teaches you precision. It
Visualization.
visualization, easy enough for me to say. Teaches you how to enunciate. Teaches you. No, it teaches you sort of how to see things through. Like in art, you kind of know where you're going. You see the destination on a blank canvas. You see what you're trying to get to on a whiteboard or a piece of paper. So you already have a step ahead of people that are kind of just blindly going into a situation. They don't really
Right.
know where they want to land. You know exactly where you're going. You know what you need to get there. You know which colors you're going to need. You know the time it's going to take. You know where you want to start. You know what's going to be the difficult part. You know what you want
different
to.
brushes.
Yeah, you know the different brushes. You know all of that.
What
so
the tools you have to play with.
all of that. So
Yeah.
I think having those materials, you have the shopping list. You're sort of ahead of the game a little bit, as opposed to somebody that's just sort of like, "Oh, tell me what to do." Like
Yeah.
it's a little bit easier, and it's in your control. I think we turn out to be sort of a little controlling because we create the environment in a way that other people
that's
aren't
really
responsible
interesting.
for. Yeah, because I feel like that with actors, a lot of times they're not. Like I never liked acting. I hate acting, but I just don't like doing it. but I do feel like the business of acting, you have to wait for someone to hire you, or you have to wait to get casted, or you have to wait to whatever for something. With stand up, I could work every day. I could go to an open mic. It might be 3 people in the audience. I could go to the club. I could go every day and sort of, I feel like the master of my own destiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's sort of, it spoils you though. It
How
can,
so?
well, because
Because that's not real life. You're not always in control.
You're not always in control,
Yeah.
and when it's time to surrender, it makes it a little tougher because you
Used
don't
to
have
that.
those tools.
Yeah.
You're looking at it.
So how did you learn how to surrender?
I'm still learning. I don't know how to. I really don't. I'm still learning.
Do you believe in surrender?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely believe in it. It's more believing in what way?
I'm
I
not
think
sure.
it exists.
So, like, when I think of surrender, I think of sort of faith and
yeah.
that, like, ultimately. But I know that's not necessarily what you were talking about.
No,
like,
but it could be.
but it could be.
It
Yeah.
certainly could be. I think it's tough for me because of the way I grew up and the way I've made a living, that it's hard for me to trust surrendering.
Mm.
You know? It's times where I don't have a choice.
Right.
But
Right. If
it's-
you're working for someone
it's
or
tough.
whatever
Yeah.
that is.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to learn to work within the system.
Or even in relationships, even in friendships,
Oh, okay.
even in, just living in the world. There's certain things you just cannot control.
Yep.
And it's tough,
Yeah.
but I don't know who it's easy for.
That's true too.
Yeah.
You think it gives you a leg up a little bit that you're not accustomed to surrendering and it makes you maybe fight harder or not take not take shit, but like a certain amount of it? Like, does it give you more confidence in negotiation or in whatever?
Maybe. I never thought of it that way, but I can see how it could. I think I think there's a certain level of delusion that you need to be successful in.
Like people saying you can't do stand-up at 26,
Yeah.
right? I'm sure
course.
they said that.
Oh my God. I wouldn't even tell people I was doing stand-up because I knew they would say it.
Mm.
And I kept it a secret for a few years. But, I also, like, where I grew up, or like my family structure or my friends, like my community, the way I grew up, I know that a lot of times people are just scared for you. It's not that they don't believe in you. They're just scared that if I've never seen it work before,
Right.
I'm worried that you're taking this chance on a thing that I've never seen work. I can understand why they would be
Sure.
skeptical.
Concerned. Yeah.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
I wouldn't even put that on their plate to worry with me, because I was sure that I knew how to do this, even when I didn't know how to do
Who
it.
did you trust?
I trusted my desire to want to do it. And I trusted that I see the pace in which this is coming to me. And so I just trusted that. And I also, even more than trusted, I thoroughly enjoyed doing it, which is really kind of the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah.
Right.
If you, like, bombing was fun. Like
I've never heard that.
Bombing it wasn't fun in the moment,
Right,
but you
but
gotta
afterwards,
you
like,
gotta
oof.
rush afterwards.
Yeah.
It was like, I want to go again, like I just enjoyed the whole process. I enjoyed like every part of it. And so it was like in my free time, that's what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So people used to think I was lazy. They used to always say I was a lazy guy because I didn't want to work. And then I would do that, and they was like, "You work too much." And it's like, I don't know which one's true.
Right.
I just know that
This is what I love.
I tend to work harder when I like working.
Sure.
When I
Yeah,
like the
makes
work,
sense.
And I think a lot of
Absolutely.
people would.
Yeah.
So it was that. But it makes you selfish because now you've buried yourself in work.
Well, I'm not calling you selfish. So what is that process when you bomb? Like how do you get the rush afterwards? Are you analyzing what worked, what didn't work? Did you know what didn't work? Did
you could feel it?
Yeah.
You could feel it, and
Yeah, I've experienced that by the way.
I'm
It's terrible
how
feeling.
could you? It's like,
It's the worst.
and people would be like, why would you think? Even me, like I could feel it leaving my mouth, and I'm like, why do
What are
I
you
think this
saying?
is funny? Like, what made me even try this? Like, it's like, you fool.
Yeah.
You
Crickets is the
fool.
worst.
Crickets, yawn.
Oh, no.
I remember one time I was doing a show in Baltimore, and it was like I did 3 shows that night, and it was the 3rd show, which started at about midnight, and it's just the drunkest people, everyone's drunk, everyone's kind of they're ready to go when they got there. Because
Yeah.
it's midnight,
Yeah,
you
it's
only got
late.
about 3 more hours to drink, you're with your friends, and I remember I told a joke that went over. It was good. But as they were laughing, they started talking to each other. And as they started talking to each other, they forgot I was on stage.
Ooh.
And I'm sitting there struggling, trying to get them back on. And this guy, his back was sort of turned to me because it was like a club. So the seating was sort of like sideways.
And full, not full, like 10 people?
It was full. It was pretty
full.
full. It was like 3/4 full.
Okay.
And this guy turns and like notices that I'm on stage because I'm interrupting his conversation. And he sees me and he goes, "Boo." And I was like, boo. And everyone goes, yeah, boo, 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 boo. And
They
then
started
everyone
booing
just
you?
starts booing. And I'm like, what? No boo, no boo. I had to get off that stage in
Oh, that's
record
terrible.
time. They were all
That
just
is
like, yeah, son, get this
terrible.
guy out of here.
We're
And
just
it was
trying to hang
fine.
out.
I was doing okay up until
That
they
one
decided that they wanted to have a
boo.
conversation and that one guy booed over. But it's that. It's just like you feel it in your bones. Like, even when it was going good, I knew this is going to go bad at any moment. You can
Yeah.
just feel it. You're just not there for it.
And then in hindsight,
Mm-hmm.
do you, because sometimes you're testing material,
Mm-hmm.
right? So do you just know immediately, like you said, sometimes as it's coming out of your mouth, or like
I know
you
immediately.
just cut that joke and now you're,
Well, it depends. It depends. Like sometimes,
because you've said it's how you tell the joke too
yeah,
sometimes.
exactly. I look at comedy like it's all these stupid comedy analogies, but it feels like trying to get directions in a country you've never been to. So like you know what you're trying to ask them, but they might not know. So like if you can tell if they're offended, like no, I'm trying to say, you know where you could, or if they just clearly don't know, then you're like, all right, maybe they just don't know. I'll move on. So
Yeah.
it's sort of like that. Like I know why I think it's funny, and I'm trying to get you to understand it
From
in
your
the way that I
perspective, yeah.
understand it.
Right.
And if it's something that's just not, you just don't know,
Landing. Yeah.
then I'll let the joke go. But if it's something that you're not clear on, maybe I'll try it another way. So it's literally just communicating. It's literally like if I know it's funny, if I believe it's funny, I know I'm not the only person that believes it's funny. I'm just stubborn that way. Like I just don't think that I am the only one that's experienced this and found this funny. I just got to find
Someone else who has.
200 people to agree. you know?
Right.
Like,
Well, you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
You have. Absolutely.
How do you guys know this is going to work? Like segment wise or angle wise?
Gosh.
Because it's not like you could go to a club.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like, what?
live events, we used to be able to work a lot of things
Okay.
out. And that's why I was asking you about things getting stolen or whatever, because you're working on a match structure, you're seeing what works,
Right.
what doesn't work,
Who has
all that kind of stuff.
chemistry?
Chemistry is important.
Yeah.
It's the number one.
Number one.
You can be two of the greatest wrestlers in the world, superstars in the world, and if you don't have chemistry, it's just not going to work.
Who you telling? I
Yeah,
know exactly
it
what
just
you mean.
doesn't
Yeah.
work.
When we would do an update, we had such a rough start, and people used to always say, well, there's no chemistry between me and Jost. And I would get frustrated because we were friends and we did have chemistry,
Right?
but we're never telling jokes in a two-shot.
Right.
We're
Right.
on singles. So how do you have chemistry with somebody you're never on camera with?
Yeah.
It was impossible. I was like, he starts his joke and then I go and then he goes and I was like,
Right. It's
where
not gonna
we
feel
fit
right.
chemistry.
Yeah.
And they would tell us not to write bits for each other because Lauren would always be like, don't write the chemistry. Just feel it. And I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense. Like, how do we do that?
Oh, yeah.
But then I realized just small things. Like once he tells the joke, instead of me starting my joke, I'll roll
React.
my eyes.
Yeah.
Now they know I didn't like the joke.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when it's his turn, he might, after he tells the joke the second time, he might look toward me like,
Yeah.
did you like that one? And then we would find our chemistry in these little moments, and it changed the dynamic. Then they started watching two friends telling jokes to each other as opposed to just two guys struggling to read cards. So like that was like, but it's that. It's like chemistry, like you said, is everything, because then the joke doesn't even need to be as hard. The context is these two guys don't like each other or
Right.
like each
Now
other.
you're
or whatever it
watching
is.
your interaction.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And how you play off one another.
Yeah.
Because that's what's the most relatable.
100%.
Right. And I think that's part of the magic, right? And making those connections is being relatable.
100%.
Like you were saying, if something you think is funny but nobody relates to it,
Yeah.
then it's not going to hit because they can't.
They don't know what
They don't know what you're
no
talking
idea
about.
What you're talking about. Yeah. Can't
And,
get
and
up
that's
there.
that's what I think when you're writing segments or, I think ultimately the struggle of the underdog is like just a human emotion, right? Like you root
Yes.
for that underdog and
Yes.
you root for it. and you can easily write to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as long as you are telling stories that people can relate to in some form or fashion, or getting bullied, or whatever it is, then it's hopefully going to work.
Backstabbed
Yeah.
or double crossed.
Exactly. Steal someone's person.
Yeah.
Like all of that.
Right. Or
There's only so many different forms of stories, right? It's sort of finite, right? And it's how you tell them and the characters that make it different and all of that stuff. But there's only so many stories you could tell.
and the time and the temperature. Sometimes it's time for sort of that underdog, and sometimes it's time for that.
Get some heat.
That's that superhero. It's
Yeah.
time. It's time for that guy that's
Yeah,
just
that's true.
unbeatable. But then sometimes it's that scrappy, the small guy. People were rooting for that guy with the character. It's just like it's a weird thing. But you have to be able to listen.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, okay, I see where this tide is going, and you can sort of still keep your integrity if you're aware. I think the sign of professionalism for the audience is they've spent money. They want to make sure that whoever they spent money to see is in control of the night.
Yeah.
So like one of the things that I learned at SNL was like, even if something goes wrong during a show, we can't panic. We can't look like it. Oh no, we wasn't expecting that to bomb. If we bomb, we got to bomb on our own terms,
Right.
Because whatever. Okay, you didn't like it. You just didn't like it. But we worked on this.
Yep.
And I still think it's good, and somebody's gonna like it.
Getting
and we
back to
believe
your
in it.
Patrice.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
literally that, and I think that's sort of what brings people on board. Because once they know that they control the show, then they will become the show.
Oh, absolutely.
They'll hijack it.
Oh,
They'll take
yeah.
it right from you.
Like,
Yeah.
boo.
Boo. Boo. I'm funnier than this guy. Boo.
Right?
And that's it.
And
yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
So how important, I think with comedy, it's everything. Not only reading the room, but also, like you say, where we are in society
Mm-hmm.
and what's happening. And how hard is it to speak your truth without getting blocked? Or canceled. Thank you.
I think it's I don't
As a comedian, like it seemed like for a little while it wasn't happening as much.
Yeah, I think what's so funny? I think I don't think that's our job as comics and as performers. I don't think it's really up to us. I think I would like to see more corporations and more companies back their artists that they're paying. I think a lot of times it's not the artist that's being canceled. It's the companies that are like, oh, this is gonna hurt our business. Get rid of this guy. Nobody wants to touch him. No, don't platform him. And it's like, I think there what used to be a time when it was a separation. It was just like, you don't like that guy, well, you don't like that guy.
Right, then you don't watch that person.
Yeah, you just don't like that person. But now I feel like there's this kind of weird sort of responsibility where everyone is sort of panicking on where to put their money.
Eggshells.
Yeah. And it's made artists scared because they're like, well, I don't want nobody to ever work with me.
Right?
As opposed, they may be willing to fight, but they don't want to fight alone.
Right.
And I feel like for me, I try to always come from, this is how I feel, and this is why I feel this way. So even if you disagree, even if you vehemently disagree, I'm telling you, this is how I feel, and this is why I feel that way.
Right.
And
it's your truth.
That's it.
Yeah.
Literally. So I'm not telling you to feel this way. I'm not saying you're wrong for feeling your way. I'm just telling you this is how I feel. And I think people can kind of sort of respect that if they believe it.
Yeah.
If they buy it, if they understand, if they're willing to listen, they'll give you some sort of slack on that. But I think once you start telling people how they should feel, that's when it becomes
different.
a little bit more divisive.
That's an important
Does that make
piece.
sense?
It does.
Yeah.
It's you speaking your truth versus telling everyone else they should believe what you believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we could be very different and get along, or at least respect each other's space.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's practiced as much. I think it's sort of like my side versus your side, and we're on teams, and we're all in a gang. We're all in the gang, and my set don't mess with your set, and it's like it gets a little obnoxious because, I like to watch like old school interviews like Dick Cavett and, Donahue, like those old kind of shows where they would just put the craziest people together. And you would watch them have these conversations, and you could it was combative in that they were,
Different
arguing.
opinions,
Yeah,
yeah.
they had different opinions, but people wasn't like, how dare Donahue.
Right. It wasn't like you deserve to die
No,
because you believe
yeah,
something
it was
different.
like we're talking to each other. We have to listen to each other to know why we don't like each other and find some kind of middle ground. And also you could sort of see who the weenies are that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you can
for
see somebody that in a
sure.
silo, this guy is strong and confident, but then you put him next to somebody who's equally as educated and can argue the same point, the opposite point, and they fold because they've never been confronted before.
Right.
And they've never been challenged before. So you can sort of see, well, who do you want to follow now?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think those conversations, in order for those conversations to be had, people have to be willing to listen to each other and talk to each other and
actually want to potentially find common ground.
actually want to potentially find common ground.
Yeah.
Like, actually, do you actually want that, or are you just having fun yelling? Because that
Right.
could also be it too.
Sure.
You could just be having fun knowing that half the population is worse than you, and you can be smug about it
Right.
and say, yeah, no, they're the bad people, which means I must be the good one. Okay. Yeah, look at me. La-di-da. But yeah, it's nonsense.
It's one of the things I love the most about WWE is how different our fan base is.
Yeah.
Like, it really is as diverse as it can be from all over the world, different political beliefs, different,
The whole world agrees
everything.
on it. It's crazy.
But what do they come together and love?
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's
WWE
awesome.
and soccer. It's crazy.
But let me ask you a question. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. You know what's so funny? I was at I don't even know if answers the question, but it's something that I always think about, especially like this year with Cena retiring. I was at Barclays for, I think it was SummerSlam. I got tickets, and I think I got tickets through the Daily Show, and it was in the Barclays. And I remember Jon Stewart was there. It was like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
like
This was a
ran
while
that.
ago.
This was a while ago. It was like
Yeah.
10 years ago,
Yeah.
maybe more. And I remember, how the Barclays, how Brooklyn is.
So I was with Jon Stewart
Were you?
talking to him right before he went out. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
So I'm sitting in the crowd in Brooklyn, and they're booing John Cena like crazy. Like this, because this is all like, like all 35-year-old dudes. Just
Right.
like, we hate Cena. We
Yeah.
hate Cena. Because he's
The
like
women and
super
kids
Cena.
love Cena.
There was
the
this
men did
kid.
not.
There was this kid. He was dressed in all Cena. He had probably like 11 years old. He was with his dad. He was all Cena'd out. And these men are booing John Cena like he's the worst guy ever. Jon Stewart runs in, hits John Cena with the chair. Seth Rollins, I believe, beats him. The crowd goes nuts. And this kid crumbles.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, that's what it's about. That's why John Cena wins. Because
Right.
this kid wants to see him win. It's not just about our selfish, nerdy kind of, get these. Like, no, it's about everybody.
So can I
And
ask you a question?
It made me appreciate John Cena in a way that I never thought like I would appreciate anybody. Like, I was like, damn, that's what it's about.
So is it ultimately about hope?
I think, I don't know that it's hope, but I can't think of a better word for it. Like,
Right?
I can't think of a better, it's gotta be.
Because in my previous career, and I guess still to this day, I always think about how to position WWE, especially to people who don't get it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And, I talk about all different things. But hope is sort of a theme that has come up. I've heard Cody say it. I've heard Natty say it. I've heard Becky say it. I've heard a few different people say it. And it's like this, is that ultimately
Damn.
what it is?
You know, after that Mania in, what was it, in Philly when Cody had that match and you sort of seen everything, like the storytelling of everything breaking his way
right?
made everybody so like, yeah, for
Yeah.
Cody. I guess that's what what it is. Just watching that happen that way, that's gotta be the best way to explain it.
I mean, it seems like it.
Yeah, I think people just want to be able to root for themselves the way they're rooting
That's
for
right,
these
to root for
people.
themselves because
Yeah.
shit happens to everybody.
Right.
Right? And you're trying to get to this one place, whatever that is, and it seems like everything gets in the way.
Yeah. Damn, I guess I never thought of it that way, but that's 100% correct. That Philly Mania was incredible. Philly Mania was incredible. That was something. That was one of the best live experiences I've ever had.
Because of the ride.
The last
Just
match?
everything. The
Yeah,
last
just-
match.
it was just like, it felt like a culmination of everything.
Years.
Yeah, like it was a nice
I mean, it really was.
build.
But I mean, even if
was
you
about
followed
3
his
years,
whole
right?
career, but way beyond that,
Yes.
when you think about it, and
Yeah.
what he did leaving, and then coming back
Yeah.
as a bigger star than he ever was.
Yeah.
I mean,
When he came back, were you guys prepared for and then this payoff, or was you sort of slow playing it and that just felt like the natural progression?
it was complicated. There was one plan
Mm-hmm.
that had it happening right away.
Mm-hmm.
And then some other things happened and the plan changed. But we were all in on Cody as soon as he came
I
back.
think it playing out the way it played out was so
Better.
perfect
Yeah.
because it was, you could believe that something went wrong. Because even
Yeah.
like if like even outside of the story, 'cause I always feel like in wrestling there's like the story and then like the outside story,
Right.
you know? And you feel like the
real
outside
story.
story sort of like matched the inside story of like, we want this guy to win.
So
let
bad.
him win,
Yeah.
let him
So
win.
bad.
Yeah, and then him finally winning and the way he won and everybody getting their comeuppings was like, oh, this is fun to watch.
Yeah.
And it was
The
like
payoff.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
payoff
Yeah.
was really made the whole thing worth it. And it's like Dave Chappelle told me something that I'll never forget. The first time he hosted SNL, it was during like it was like this 2016 election. It was emotional, like everybody, like it was just like everybody was fighting and you know whatever. But Dave did the show, and it was a fun show, and it felt like people were laughing together.
Yeah.
And he said at good nights, he turned around, you know, everybody's hugging, and he turned around and he looked, and it was such a stressful week. And he was like, I looked at you guys and I realized, oh, you guys got to come back and do this again Monday. And I'm out of here. Like, I'm going to take a week off, whatever. Like, you guys have to do this again. And that's what I felt watching that WrestleMania. Was it 41 or 40?
Yeah.
40. And I'm like, that culmination and all that. I'm like, oh, they still got a show tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
After all of that, like, it's not like, and then we live happily ever after.
Yeah,
No, they got to wrestle tomorrow.
Yeah. The next season starts the next day.
And get that interest back. Like,
Live.
it's just crazy. I was
Yeah.
like, I was thoroughly, from performer to performer, I was thoroughly impressed by that. Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
We are with Fanatics, and they have a question for you, Michael.
Okay.
Saturday Night Live has had an amazing history of co-anchors on Weekend Update. If you had to choose two wrestlers from any time who could handle the Weekend Update desk, who do you think would be up to the challenge as a good co-anchor duo?
From any time?
Yes.
Wow. Number one, I got to go Piper. Piper jumps out to me as just one of the best public speakers there's ever been.
Now, does he need a straight man?
Yes,
Okay.
he definitely.
Not two wild
You know what?
personalities. One straight man, one wild, or no?
I'm gonna go Heenan.
Oh.
Piper and Heenan update.
My
Who's
God,
not
that
watching
is
that?
amazing.
Who's not watching
Wow.
that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Piper and Heenan. Yeah,
So
that'll
good.
be
Huge score.
that'll be my update.
I wonder if
dream
AI can make that happen. I bet it could.
Probably could.
update. Yeah.
Awesome.
Wait, who would you like to see?
Oh my God. Well, Piper and Heenan was a
Yeah?
great
Oh, okay,
one.
I won.
I mean, really. Heenan doing anything.
Heenan doing anything.
I love Bobby Heenan.
I love
Oh my God,
Bobby.
so smart. I think what I love is when, and I think comedians who are successful are really, really, really smart.
Yeah.
And so I love when humor makes me think.
hmm
And Bobby was always just
Yeah.
so fast.
So fast.
You know, I love that.
And he was always Bobby.
Always.
And like that kind of, he sort of had that slight mania, you know?
Yeah.
Like that sort of like
I
that
don't know how
manic-
slight it was.
But he was like, yeah, he's the best. If I needed somebody on my side, I'd want it to be Bobby.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he was,
Hands
He was
down.
the bomb. Have you ever had sort of like a white whale of, man, I wish that person could have been a wrestler, or at least did like a program?
That's such an interesting question. I have always wanted Serena.
Oh,
I think she would have
that's
been
cool.
amazing. I really do.
Oh, that's really cool.
I think she would have been awesome. She could talk shit and back it up, you know?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Serena Williams. Oh, I like that. And she'd stack up.
She'd
like
look
she
the
would
part.
Look,
Yeah.
she would certainly look the part.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's
always
cool.
thought she'd be great.
That's really cool. Oh, that's cool.
How about you? Who would you love to see in there?
Oh, that's a good one.
It is a good one.
Oh, well, no. A name came to my mind, but I don't know. I don't know if that's a good choice.
Well,
But man, who would be good?
who came to mind?
McGregor,
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
just because of the way he
shit talk.
talks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the walk.
But I think he might be crazy now.
But we're not talking reality based anyway. This is all hypothetical.
But that's who came to mind. I was like, oh, that would be like a
Yeah,
fun
Connor.
McGregor versus Punk and
Yeah,
on
I
the
mean,
mic.
can you
That would
imagine the
be
program?
Insanity.
Yeah, the build would be outrageous.
It would be insanity, man. Yeah, he would be someone that's kind of fun to watch, or like one of those like an Indomitian Sue or somebody like a terrifying football player. You know what I mean? Somebody like that, like a Ray Lewis or somebody.
Yeah.
That you're like, oh man, if this guy starts from. Well, I remember the Lawrence Taylor. And I remember,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember how I remember most how tired he was afterwards. They had to like, literally carry him. That was cool.
And Salt and
as hell.
Pepper sang him to
Salt
the
and-
ring. What a man. I remember I was there.
I just like the era of the wrestlers that come out that I'm like, oh, I haven't heard that name in so long or whatever. Like, you know, you kind of people that you forgot. And then also like as I've gotten older, I didn't realize like when I was a kid or at the time, I didn't know that certain characters were other characters.
Right?
So like, you know what I mean? Like there's like people that you might like from somewhere else that you're like, oh, that was Texas Tornado? I didn't know. I never put together that was Kerry Von Erich.
Right, right.
So like stuff like that was like really cool. Like, oh wait, that Papa Shango's the Godfather?
Yeah.
How's that possible? Yeah. So like I love stuff like that. But I like Royal Rumbles are my favorite, and I like the house shows.
Yeah.
Like just random house shows where it'll be like Adrian Adonis or people that you really don't see that often in pay-per-views because there wasn't a lot of pay-per-views back
At
in
that
those
time,
days.
no.
So you didn't see all of the wrestlers at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But, at a house show you can see Ken Patera or something.
Yeah.
Like, whoa,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So I like those old ones or like Afro Andre. Okay. I like Andre when he had the big afro.
Yeah,
When
he
was, like,
did.
athletic and all of that. Yeah. But that's like I used to have the doll. He was like this.
I had the doll too.
Big, the big Andre
yeah.
doll? Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like this when he got the big old afro. He's
Yep.
in the trunks. Because they have one with the singlet.
With
but
the singlet.
I
Yeah,
had
but
the
I
one with
remember remembering the trunks too.
the blue
Yeah.
trunks.
I get blue. Yeah.
And
I
the
could
Big
picture
John
the same
Stud.
thing. Yeah.
I think
and
Big
with the
John
white.
Stud was like this. Yeah, he had the white pants.
with the stars on the side or something. Or
Yeah,
stripes,
yeah,
something
like
on
blue
the
stars
side.
and
Yeah.
red boots.
Red boots. Yeah. Those dolls were hard.
They were
as hell.
really hard.
If you got hit with one of those dolls.
I have.
Yes.
I had a little cousin. I still have him, but a little cousin. His name is Donovan, and he used to get those dolls, and you better keep your head on the swivel.
Yeah.
Because he will
Whip
hit
'em
you
at
with-
you, and
he
they
will
hurt.
whip them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. Oh man, I had Greg Valentine. I had Magnificent Morocco.
Oh,
He's like
yes.
this. Yeah. He
But
had a
so
t-shirt said
Fuji
that.
Vice was a
I had
takeoff on
Fuji.
Miami Vice.
I had a Fuji.
And it was pretty funny.
Was he?
It was like
he
a
cool?
skit that aired within TNT.
Oh.
Who was he with?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll tell you, Bruce Pritchard can tell you all these stories. But he was with Don Morocco. I mean, that was the idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Okay. Yeah, okay.
But I've heard Bruce tell a lot of these stories.
Fuji.
You should hang out with him and just pick his brain.
I would love to. I mean,
He-
as
he
you
could
can see, I
tell you
could,
all that
I could
stuff.
talk this stuff all day. I loved it. I'm a big wrestling fan.
It's awesome.
Is it?
Yeah.
I have one question.
Okay.
Well, just one question. Who were you the most shocked by being a huge wrestling fan?
Oh,
Like, where you're like, really?
I think I'm more surprised when people aren't fans than when they are.
Oh.
Like really, you've never heard of it? Like that is
That
usually
happens?
shocking to me. Yeah, that does.
Yeah, I don't know how that's possible.
I've never understood that. I think Lynn, I was pretty surprised that he was such a
Really?
big fan. Yeah.
That wouldn't shock me.
And then I had heard that he had been even in the UK to like an
Mm.
NXT at that time. Like, with the limited amount of time that he has, that he would want to come to WWE like that. I think that one surprised me.
Was there anybody that ever like asked to be a part of it, and you were like, "No, man, you're not gonna be able to wrestle."
I don't make those decisions. But I'll tell you who was. Michael Che and Colin Jost. Yes. Are you ready to hold WWE history in the palm of your hand? Topps is bringing you closer to the action than ever before with WWE Topps Now, highlighting the biggest matches and milestones from WWE shows and PLEs throughout the year. Topps Now is enhancing the fan experience by connecting collectors to the superstars and spectacles that ignite their passion. Featuring stunning event-exclusive photography, each card is made for the moment. And for some lucky collectors, that moment could become the pull of a lifetime. Along with serial numbered parallels, some Topps Now releases offer a chance at rare short prints, superstar autographs, and even pieces of the mat, gear, or other items used during the featured match. So which moments will you collect? With each card only available for a limited time, you won't want to wait to begin your Topps Now journey. Be sure to subscribe to the WWE Topps Now mailing list on Topps.com and follow Topps on all social media platforms so you never miss a single moment. Road to Gold is the latest WWE exclusive from Fanatics Casino, bringing WrestleMania thrills right to your fingertips. It is the most star-studded casino game ever built. Spin reels featuring 20 WWE superstars from Cody Rhodes to John Cena and my personal favorite, Triple H.
And for the first time ever in an online casino game, you'll hear the voice of WWE himself, Michael Cole. Battle to the top for rewards with bonus spins, mystery wins, and cash collect moments.
This is WrestleMania Road to Gold, and it only lives at Fanatics Casino. Must be 21 and over. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Not available in all states. See Fanatics Casino app. Did your grandmother
Yes.
get to see you perform stand up? Martha, right?
Martha. Martha did not get to see me
She
do
didn't.
stand up. Martha is a very, very religious woman. Martha's never heard me swear.
Oh.
Martha's
So the
not
whole
coming
sex
to the
analogy
show.
off the top
no,
was-
no. Martha
no.
would be washing my mouth with a toilet brush right now. But incidentally, funniest person I ever met.
Really?
Funniest person. Had some, she's funny in a way that's like she doesn't know.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's never on
She's not
purpose.
trying to be funny.
No. She was just one of those like no filter,
Yeah.
brain to mouth, and you're just like horrified. Like literally will horrify a room where you're like, grandma, you cannot do that. But yeah, she was so funny, and everything she said she would say like the craziest, funniest things, but nothing would make me laugh harder than when she laughed hard.
Yeah.
Because her laugh was like she couldn't breathe. Like she was like, like it was like, you ever hear people laugh like you're like, are you okay? She would laugh in a way where it'd be like no sound for 5
Oh
minutes.
my God, that's awesome.
And then, like she
And then suddenly the big.
and then suddenly, like, oh, she laughed so hard. And it would be like, she was just the best. She was like she was a tough lady. And she could be difficult. As grandmas she could be difficult. She was tough though. She meant what she said. And she was funny though. She was pure.
Is there
funny.
any story that comes to mind
There's a few. There's a
that you're able to tell without getting in trouble?
I don't know. I don't know.
Come on.
Oh man, I don't know. Well, she was. I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Grandma stories are the best.
Grandma's stories are the best. I remember she before she passed away, she was there was a point where she needed like 24-hour care.
Yeah.
And she couldn't remember and all of that. But I remember I would go to the hospital, we would talk to her. She would forget who I was like 4 times in 2 hours or whatever. And she would talk about her plans to go to wherever, and you're just, she would talk like she was single. And you're like, what? But if I asked her about something from the 60s or 50s or a song or anything, she remembered it like it was happening just now. I could tell her, if I asked her like what she wore to church, she could tell you about her fox and her this and that. She would make all her clothes.
Really?
She would make all her clothes. She would just, all she did was pray and sew, cook, love. That was her. So it was pure. She was a beautiful. And my grandfather was my introduction to professional wrestling.
Really?
My grandfather,
cool.
only thing he watched was the news, Sanford and Son, and wrestling. Only thing he watched on TV, news, Sanford and Son, and wrestling. And when I was a kid, I kind of learned how to talk with like my brothers and sisters, obviously, but I would go to my grandfather's house and I would watch wrestling with him, and I would tell him about last week's show, and I would tell him about the Iron Sheik, and I would tell him all these people, I was 2-3 years old, and he would just be so interested, and I had no idea until later I was like, oh, he was just encouraging me to talk,
Right.
but he would act like he needed to hear this. You know what I mean? He would eat peanuts. We would eat
He
peanuts.
made you the most important person in the room.
And I was the most important because I had this information, and I thought I needed to bring it to him. I was like, oh, Grandpa's got to hear this.
Gotta tell Grandpa.
I gotta
No
tell him
way.
what Piper's up to. He's not gonna believe this. But but he loved wrestling. We would talk wrestling all the time, and that was sort of my introduction to New York's Madison Square Garden, the microphone. I'm telling you, I love that microphone. Yeah, the funny people. My grandfather was like a ham on purpose.
Yeah.
He was a preacher. He was a pastor
Okay.
for many years. So he was an orator. He knew how to speak. He knew how
Well,
to
there are
command
some
a
dots
room.
connected.
Yeah,
Makes
he
sense.
knew how to do that thing.
Yeah.
But my grandmother was just purely funny, just offensive.
So you're kind of like a combo.
My grandparents was Patrice O'Neal No, yeah, they were great people. We lost them both, but man, they lived a heck of a life and brought a lot of cool people in the world. They really did, yeah.
And did your brother and sisters watch as well? Or mainly just you?
My
'Cause
brothers,
you were the baby.
My brothers, yeah, they watched a lot of. They was savvier, so like they knew. I guess they would have known a different generation, but because I'm by far the baby. My closest sibling is 8 years.
Oh, 8 years. Okay.
Yeah, so like I'm by far the baby, and yeah, they would watch, but they wasn't into it the way I was into. Because by the time I was into it. They were like outside.
Older,
They were like older, whatever. It was like whatever. But when I was into it, I was like obsessed with it for years and years. I used to get the supermarket plastic bags, and I would cut the bottom of the bag, and I would put it on like a tank top, and I would rip my shirt like Hulk Hogan. Did you not do that? Did kids not do that?
Can I just say that's the smartest thing?
Yeah.
That's what we would do.
Because the actual T-shirts are very hard to rip.
Yeah,
Also,
you
don't
can
wanna
never
rip your
rip
clothes,
it,
but they're
right?
very, very hard to
Yeah.
rip. That's ingenious.
We would get, if you got like a
It
ShopRite
is.
bag, it was yellow and
Yeah.
red.
Yeah.
You cut the bottom of the bag, you wear it like a tank top,
That is so
which
smart.
it looks like a spaghetti strap, because it's like the
Sure,
straps are
because
here.
it's, yeah.
And then
But
we
that's
would
all
just
right.
rip it.
Oh, that's so
and it
smart.
was Hulk Hogan,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That was a big deal.
Genius.
You've never heard this before?
No. Now there's no more plastic bags.
Yeah. They're hard to come by.
But I'm shocked that like other kids didn't do that.
Maybe they did,
Oh,
but
okay.
I've never heard about it.
Well, we definitely did.
Yeah, this is going to be a new question.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
man, that was a
No,
big
for
deal.
sure.
That was,
For
man,
sure.
we was creative. Nice.
Yes.
This is how I find
And
out.
smart and creative.
No, yeah,
Which
we,
is no
we
surprise.
love wrestling. Love wrestling. We used to go to the video store and get the tapes. Like you could like
Do you
know,
remember
like
the name of the Coliseum home video?
Coliseum home video. I remember they had like WrestleFests and
Yeah.
all of those. Like they
Yeah.
had like this weird. There was like countries I never even heard of where it was
Yeah.
wrestling because I only watched Saturdays and Sundays, Challenge and Superstars.
Yep.
And then they had main event when it would come on.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. To this day, I hate MASH because MASH would come on like late and then wrestling was over. I hated it. I would watch like Golden Girls and then wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember this.
Oh
This
my
is
God.
like
That's
crazy.
so me
It's
too.
crazy.
Me too.
Yeah, when MASH comes
Yeah.
on, that means it's time to go to bed.
Though I did learn
That
a lot
Damn
in MASH.
helicopter.
Hated
Damn
it.
helicopter. Hated
Good
it.
characters in MASH though.
Maybe, I don't know. I never watched it. I was just like, oh, it just gives me like a bad feeling.
I learned how to do a tracheotomy with a pen watching MASH.
Really?
Sorry.
I don't really know how to
Is
do
it
it.
actually funny though? Like, is it good? It must be. People love it.
It was. I mean, now I know why I watched so much MASH because it just came on.
It used to come on. I
Yeah,
remember.
and Golden Girls. I did love
Golden Girls
too.
is the bomb. It's
It
still
was
the bomb.
fun. It was so
They
funny.
still don't write shows as good as they
Right?
did for Golden Girls now. But I think also too, there's not as many seasoned performers as back in the day. Like those like B. Arthur and
Right.
and Betty White, these is like performers.
Estelle Getty.
And Estelle Getty, they had to perform like decades.
Yeah.
Decades, vaudeville,
Yeah.
on stage, whatever. Like they were
Do you think, especially as women at that time, was it harder?
I think it
I
was
don't-
just a
I
show
don't know.
business thing.
Yeah.
I think in show business, you just had to be that sort of, like in baseball, 5-tool player. Like you kind of
Yeah.
had to know how to do it. You had to sing and dance and act and be funny and
Do it all.
everything.
Yeah.
And I think now it's sort of personality based where if we like this guy as something or we like this lady for whatever reason, then we'll just cast them in everything until people get sick of them, as opposed to them being amazing performers by the time they get on television. So when you watch those old shows and you see everybody's hitting their mark and everybody's
Right.
scoring and everything,
Just-
the clicking,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that in wrestling too. Like you could watch wrestling and you realize, like there's guys, like I remember I would hear like wrestling interviews and they would say like, who's the greatest wrestler? And they'll be like, they may say like, Owen Hart is the best wrestler I've seen. And I would be like, he didn't win the championships, you know. But in my head, they didn't write him to win.
Right.
But for wrestlers that watch wrestlers, like they know I can't look as good as I look if I wasn't going against Owen Hart. Like, he's
right.
carrying it in this way or whatever, or whoever it is, or you know, Sean, or you know, like the short list of names that people talk about as these are the best people I've ever seen. Like, as a layman, if you're just watching, you're just only thinking about the guys that win the most. You're not
Right,
thinking
yeah.
about the guy that makes everybody look good, that makes you care about the story, that's kind of bringing people in. So, it, you know, does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. Okay.
It does. So
Oh, also, I just saw Step 316.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you
I can't
very
believe
much.
it took me this long to say. Congratulations. Well deserved. I think The Undertaker coming out to announce it is such a cool way. And were you really surprised? You
Yeah.
look so confused.
I was.
You was
And
like,
so,
what are you doing?
and Elise didn't know either. And so we're sitting there, and, you know, one of our cameramen comes over and he goes, Steph, we want to shoot over your shoulder to get Taker's entrance. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't
Yeah.
even know Taker was here tonight. But
All right.
makes sense. It's a big show.
Mhm.
Like, I don't always know what's happening and these days. And, you know, and here he comes. And he makes eye contact with me, and I'm like, yeah, because he normally would make eye contact with me because I give him shit on a regular basis. And I thought the bike kind of stalled because I thought he was supposed to go around,
Yeah.
you know. And so I'm kind of like, you know, I'm about to give him a hard time about it, but he keeps looking at me, and I'm like, well, this is weird.
Yeah, you could read that. You could read that.
Then here he comes, and he starts talking directly to me,
Uh-huh.
and then here he comes over the wall, and he tells me to sit down, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is, but we're
Yeah.
live, so I'm with it, you know? And you can see him, and he goes, so are you ready? And I'm like, woo! Always ready, always ready. And then when he said the word induct or induction or whatever, I was like, no way.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then I didn't know what to do
That's really
because then it
cool.
was all too real.
That's really cool.
But I love him, and
Yeah, he
he's like a
seems like-
big brother
yeah.
to me. As long as I can remember.
Yeah, that was I remember when we did that thing in MetLife, going back and seeing like him and Vince and Hogan and those guys. I was just like, this is a dream.
Right.
This is crazy.
Yeah, the welcome to my world.
Yeah, no, I was like, it was bizarre. It was crazy. It was
That's how I
like,
grew up.
it's a fever dream.
Literally, like after the prom, the next day I see Hogan. He's going riding bikes with my dad, motorcycles.
That's crazy.
And like these people have been there my whole life. I would
Yeah.
come home from high school and find Ric Flair in my living room.
Don't
Crazy.
finish that sentence.
That sounds
I mean-
terrifying.
It was, and I have to say it's
Sounds
funny because I'm
terrifying.
like a kid, you know, and it wasn't terrifying as much as it was somewhat annoying to have my
Yeah.
personal space invaded all the time.
Ric Flair, that's nuts.
And Ultimate Warrior, who baffled me that he was a chiropractor,
He was a
licensed
chiropractor.
chiropractor. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
He
Can you
did the
imagine? Like,
reindeer.
I'm gonna crack your back.
No,
No.
I'm not
Yeah.
letting him do anything, man.
Don't touch me.
No,
Yeah. So, last question.
no. Okay.
You speak a lot about sketch comedy, and you had the show
Yes.
on HBO.
Yeah.
So it seems as though you love sketch comedy.
I know where you're going.
No,
Okay.
that's open ended.
Okay.
Open ended. I wasn't going anywhere.
All right.
Like I was just. I mean,
Scared me for a second.
no. I mean, I could ask you to come write some sketches for WWE. but,
Oh, that's.
I
Oh.
mean, that's where I would go. But
Now
so,
that would be a nighttime yes. No, I would. I'm not kidding. I wish I never said that because I would love to do that.
yeah.
I would love to do that. That would be like bucket list.
See, that would be fun.
That would be bucket list.
Yeah.
That would be okay. You know what? You're gonna be mad you
Just
said
saying.
that.
I'm just saying.
You might regret saying that.
Well,
You
I
might regret
don't.
saying
I
that.
don't think I'm. gonna regret that. That could be really fun.
That could be really fun. That could
Yeah.
be really fun. That's like a cool. I'm a fan. The performers now are like. There's some really really cool. I love is EO Sky
Yeah.
and Rhea and I was saying Jacob.
Rio.
Rio, yeah. Together.
That's what they call them together.
Oh, Rio. I was like, what? I was like, her name. I'm saying
no,
Rio
I'm
this
not.
whole time.
What?
It's Rio. Okay.
Yeah,
Rio.
sorry. I'm sorry. That's them.
Yo,
That's
I
team
almost
Rio.
felt so stupid. I was like, am I that guy that's just naming stuff, not knowing what he's talking about? All right, cool. Rio, fair. No, I love them. I love Jacob Fatu. I love there's so many like really really fun people to watch. I love Division. I love Paul Heyman. I have a question for Paul Heyman.
Okay. Go ahead.
I have a serious question for Paul. I don't know if anybody's ever asked him this, but is Paul Heyman like? Did he get inspiration from? Do you know where he got his inspiration?
I've heard him say a few things.
He reminds me so much of the lawyer from The Wire.
Oh.
Yeah, no one's thought that. Yeah, I'm telling you. I was watching The Wire. I was like, this is Paul Heyman. This is literally my
Oh, that's
client,
really
Avon
interesting.
Barksdale. Like he was like, it's like, I was like, yo, he reminds me so much. Levy, I think his name was.
Yeah, I think
he
Paul
reminds
gets
me so
inspiration
much
from a
of
lot
him.
of places. It could be.
He's one of the best people I've ever seen on television. Like,
Yeah.
like he's on the short list of just the best. I don't know why he's not a 4-time Emmy winner. He's
Yeah.
so good on television, and I watch every time he's on. It's like something cool or developing, and I love when his hair turns white when he gets stressed, and when it turns black when he's confident. Like he's got so many little weird nuances of a performer, and
he
he's
takes
so,
it so seriously.
I could see.
Yeah.
Like,
And like when he's supposed to be strung out, he won't sleep for days.
you can see it on him.
Yeah.
Like I saw like last week he had like stubble and
The
he's-
red eye.
Yeah, he's so good. He's really fun to watch, and he makes all those guys look. I mean, he's just the
He
hot
does.
sauce.
Yeah.
He's
I
the
agree.
hot sauce, man. He's so good. But yeah, so
Multiple levels.
Huge fan of all of those folks.
So you have a
I
lot
would
to
love
work with.
Yeah, no, I'm
I'm so excited.
excited. This whole car ride, I'm gonna be like. Yeah, no, this is dope. This was so much fun.
No,
Like-
thank you
like,
so much for
seriously,
doing this.
I'm
Really, I'm
blessed.
so grateful that
No, this is a real treat, and it's also like it kind of, yeah. I appreciate first of all what you guys did for my childhood, and yeah, I appreciate the product that you guys are still putting out. And anytime, yeah, this is so much. I appreciate even being able to go to Giant MetLife, as they call it. I still call it Giant Stadium because I'm 67 years old. But I appreciate being able to go there and be booed, and I never feel that feeling of coming out and
There's nothing like it in the
there's
world.
Nothing
like it.
in the world.
Pure adrenaline.
It's pure adrenaline, and you guys were like, I mean, it was
But you guys were great.
so much.
And you were
fun.
so fun.
It was so much fun. It was like, yeah, I had.
Do you think Colin had any idea what he was getting into?
Colin? Yes, he's crazy.
Yeah?
I don't know if you've seen. He's like at the Olympics getting hurt. And like he's
And the gear. Oh my God, the gear was awesome.
What's his name? DDP was like when I saw the headgear, I popped. He's like, you popped me with the headgear, kid.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because Odell just went to the Browns.
Yes. You guys.
I can't.
My favorite was we did a Raw in Philly. We was backstage and we saw Nia Jax, and she was very nice. Everybody was so kind to us, and Colin was like, yeah, since it's Philly, I'm gonna put on a Mets hat to get them to boo me, and she goes, oh honey, you don't need to put on a hat. She said, you got heel face. They're going to boo you no matter what you do. It was a great moment, man. It was so cool.
And he was like, I'm not sure how to take that.
Yeah.
Oh,
There it is,
yeah. Look at how much younger we are.
Yeah. What was it, like 2 years ago? 1 year ago? Does he put on the hat here? Is this when he does it?
I think it is.
Oh yeah. There it is.
2019.
Coming up.
It's coming up.
2019.
Yeah.
2019.
Yeah.
There we go.
Strap is broken.
That's even better.
I never
So
noticed
dumb.
that before.
That's so much better.
Oh, that's so cool,
God.
man. That's so cool.
And you know what else was cool was at the garden recently when I asked you the nighttime
Yes.
yes. And you and Lynn seemed
Yeah.
to like really. So I had so much fun sitting with Lynn.
Yeah,
like not
he's
to name
awesome.
drop, right? But he's
awesome.
amazing and he's such a fan.
Yeah.
And I get to be a fan now too.
Yeah.
So the whole time we were like going back and forth, and I'm like, take that, Lin-Manuel. And I'm having like the most fun with him.
No.
And then here you come, and you guys are like such buds, and like
Yeah.
it is a community.
And it's weird because like I never know who's gonna be there whenever I get to go to especially like at the garden. You never know who's gonna be there, and there's so many people that I don't even remember or track that they're fans. Because like when we got there for that one, Pete was there,
yeah.
Lynn was there.
Yeah.
I think Eric was there.
There's a lot of people.
Schultz was there.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like
There's a
crazy.
lot.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
lot of people, and it was like a really fun thing. Like, we all grew up similar. We all kind of grew up in the city. So it's just like that's like Mecca, you know what I
That's
mean?
so cool, though.
For us, you know, the garden. That's the granddaddy, and watching Cena, you're like, that was cool as hell. That was cool as hell. Yeah. I love him. I told you after that night at Barclays, I was like,
You got it.
I get what they're doing.
Yeah.
This is special.
Yeah.
This is me ripping the plastic bag.
That's
You
right.
know what I mean?
No,
like
that's exactly
that's
right.
what it's about. You know, it was really cool and yeah, he'll be missed. I hope we get to see him do something else in some
I'm
capacity.
sure he'll be involved.
You think so?
You know, I think
I'm
so.
asking if you think so.
I think he might
Really?
be.
How do you know?
I don't know if he'll ever wrestle again. You know, but I think he's not going to be a stranger.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, he loves this too much.
How could you not?
Yeah.
How could you not?
There's nothing better.
Yeah, some people find their person, and some
Except
people
maybe
find
Weekend
their
Update.
world. You know, Weekend Update. You know what?
Especially
Maybe.
when you do the jokes. It's my
Maybe.
favorite.
Yeah, but that's a time when we can show how we feel about each
Yeah.
other. That makes it fun.
The faces are so
makes it
funny when
fun.
he's going to read something.
It makes it fun. You know, it's one of those
It
things.
should be fun.
It's where the context comes in. Like I don't want to take up all your time, but like it's just like in there's performers that can get away with certain things on Raw. Like if The Rock says something one way, everybody can't say it the way The Rock say it. You know,
No,
everybody
that's true.
can't get away with it.
Especially
But
The Rock.
since he's doing it, it feels even crazier. You
Yeah.
know? And I feel like Joke Swap is kind of one of those things where we could never do any of this stuff in the show, but in the world of Joke Swap, we can get away with it.
right.
So it's-
And because you don't know what you're reading.
and you don't know what it's gonna be. So the context of it just makes it
Works.
a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Is the first time you're reading it in the dress rehearsal, or is it the live?
Well, that's the
That's a
thing. We
great
trick
question.
each other. So for dress, we have to read something for dress rehearsal because we
Right.
need it for time. But then we switch them for air.
That's so great.
That's the first time.
And who was
You're
the
seeing
first
it.
person to do that?
It was Colin's idea, but I thought it was a prank. I thought he was pranking me. So he was like, I got this idea where we write each other's jokes and then we read them live on air. And I was like, oh, you're going to try to make me say something really bad. So I'm going to make you say something way worse. And then when I read the jokes, I was like, this isn't that bad.
Oh, no.
I just went crazy for no reason. But then it was like no turning back. So that's how
And he
it
was like,
started.
"Whoa."
Then he was like, what? Yeah. I think it was crazy.
So good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, I misunderstood the assignment.
It worked.
No,
but it
I think
turned
you
out
understood
okay.
it just fine.
It turned out okay though. This is so much fun, man. And I love it. This is great. You guys should give me an office.
Yeah, I think we should. Well, if you're going to be writing sketches, you're going to need one, right?
Yeah, man. I would love. That's seriously a bucket list.
Well, you're an incredible performer, and if you
stop
want
it.
to catch some of your special, you can see it by seeing you on the road.
Yeah,
right?
come by, come out. I don't know where I'll be ever.
But it's on your website. Like, where can they find?
Well, I don't have anything on the books that's not sold out. So,
Oh, okay.
am I right?
All right.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I mean, whatever.
Yes, that's yeah. Yeah.
No, but if you
No
ever
booze. No
see
booze.
me, if you ever see me, don't boo. If you ever see me come out, it's a good time, and yeah, this was fun.
I want to come see you.
Anytime,
Yeah.
anytime. Daytime,
right.
yes. Anytime.
Daytime, yes.
Daytime, yes. Anytime.
yes,
Yeah,
okay.
locked in.
All
Well,
right.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
No, seriously. I hope I didn't take up too much time. I was just having a good ass time talking with you guys. This was so
That's
much
awesome.
fun.
That's what it's
This
supposed
was
to be.
so much fun.